cheated that year and we got away with it and all that. No. Like, we got to go to bed every single night thinking about what we did and how wrong it was.
Some cheated their way through a season. Others juiced up and lied under oath. A few trolled their own teams mid-game or picked fights with half the league. These aren't just bad moments. They're the reason the players on this list became the most hated in baseball. Let's begin with Jose Altuve. Standing at just 5 feet 6 inches and weighing 165 pounds, Jose Altuve should have been one of baseball's most beloved underdog stories. Born in Venezuela and signed for just $15,000, he defied every conventional wisdom about what a Major League Baseball player should look like. The Houston Astros' 2017 sign-stealing scheme would forever change how fans viewed not just the team, but specifically the diminutive second baseman who had become the face of their success.
Feel bad about what happened in 2017. We especially feel remorse for the impact in our fans and the game of baseball. And our team is determined to move forward, to play with intensity, and to bring back a championship to Houston in 2020.
The mechanics of the scandal were both sophisticated and crude in their execution. The Astros used a center field camera to decode opposing teams' signs, relaying pitch information to batters by banging on a trash can. It was a systematic approach to cheating that gave them an unfair advantage during their 2017 World Series championship run. Altuve received bangs on only 24 out of 886 pitches, representing just 2.7% of his at-bats, the lowest rate among Astros starters. Compare that to teammates like Jake Marisnick at 22.8% or Alex Bregman at 16%, and a picture emerges of a player who was minimally involved in his team's systematic cheating. The incident that truly cemented Altuve's status as a villain occurred during the 2019 American League Championship Series. After hitting a walk-off home run against the New York Yankees, Altuve made a request that would haunt him for years. "Don't rip my shirt off." Altuve's explanation for his request varied in different interviews, sometimes citing embarrassment, other times mentioning his wife's preferences, and occasionally referencing an unfinished tattoo. The hatred directed at Altuve is particularly intense among fans of the New York Yankees and Los Angeles Dodgers, teams that felt directly victimized by the Astros' cheating. Yankees fans in particular believe that Altuve's 2017 MVP award was stolen from Aaron Judge, who had hit 52 home runs and captured the imagination of New York that season. The fact that the Astros defeated the Yankees in the 2017 and 2019 playoffs only intensified this resentment, with Altuve becoming the focal point for their frustration.
No, good. It's always good to have a game to start feeling good and get prepared for this season.
As we move into 2025, there are signs that Altuve's reputation may be slowly rehabilitating. Currently batting .280 with 17 home runs and 53 RBIs, Altuve continues to perform at an elite level while carrying the burden of a scandal that was largely not of his making. Alex Bregman. Alex Bregman embraced his role as the defiant, unapologetic face of a generation that seemed to believe the rules didn't apply to them. Bregman received signals on 16% of his pitches, a dramatically higher rate than teammate Altuve's 2.7%, and indicative of someone who was not just aware of the scheme, but actively participating in it. When the scandal finally broke in late 2019 and early 2020,
I am really sorry about the choices that were made by my team, by the organization, and by me. I have learned from this.
The baseball world waited to see how the Astros players would respond. The perception that Bregman's apology was insufficient and lacking in sincerity became a rallying point for fans who felt the Astros players had escaped meaningful punishment. But Bregman's reputation problems extend beyond just the sign-stealing scandal. In 2018, he posted on social media highlighting back-to-back-to-back home runs against pitcher Nate Eovaldi, and the timing was particularly provocative. He posted it before a playoff game against Eovaldi's team, the Boston Red Sox. The move was seen as unnecessarily inflammatory and unsportsmanlike.
I really don't like it. I don't like him being able to just hit it off the monster over and over and over. I think the Red Sox are going to be a real good team next year.
Even more damaging was his deleted tweet calling John Boy, a popular baseball media figure who had analyzed the Astros scandal, a conspiracy theorist. This attempt to discredit someone who was simply reporting on documented facts was seen as an effort to gaslight the baseball community and further demonstrated what many viewed as his inability to accept responsibility for his actions. After joining the Boston Red Sox on a 3-year, $120 million contract in 2025, Bregman has been praised for his performance and leadership, with articles highlighting his positive influence on younger players and his meticulous preparation. His .299 batting average and 11 home runs before a quad injury in May 2025 demonstrate his continued on-field value. Carlos Correa. Of all the Houston Astros players involved in the 2017 sign-stealing scandal, perhaps none has been more brazenly defiant than Carlos Correa. Born in Ponce, Puerto Rico, Carlos Javier Correa Oppenheimer Jr. entered Major League Baseball as the first overall pick in the 2012 draft, immediately tabbed as the cornerstone of Houston's rebuilding effort. By 2017, he was an integral part of what many considered one of the most talented rosters in baseball history. But unlike some of his teammates who have tried to minimize their involvement in the sign-stealing scheme, Correa has been remarkably candid about his participation. "Yes, I used the trash can," he admitted in a 2020 interview, acknowledging that it provided a slight edge. This admission, while honest, immediately made him a target for fans who felt betrayed by the systematic nature of the cheating.
He's too humble to talk about him not using the trash can system. And he's such a great guy that he stood up there and he apologized even though he didn't use that system.
In 2020, he stated definitively, "I don't believe it taints our 2017 title," arguing that the team's strong road performance validated their championship. This stance has been perceived by many as a complete lack of accountability and has intensified the animosity directed his way.
And we all make mistakes. And because you make a mistake, people are not going to lose respect for you. It's how you confront those mistakes that you make.
Even after joining the Minnesota Twins in 2022, Correa faced intense booing in Seattle, where "cheetah" chants echoed through the stadium. Perhaps most telling are Correa's confrontational responses to critics, which have only served to fuel further animosity. In 2021, when Chicago White Sox reliever Ryan Tepera implied that the Astros were still engaging in sketchy stuff, Correa called the comments disrespectful and pointed to the team's offensive performance to refute the allegations. Even more brazenly, in 2023, when White Sox pitcher Keenan Middleton called him a "cheater" after striking him out, Correa responded nonchalantly with, "I've heard worse," a response that many interpreted as dismissive and unrepentant.
I'm not here to blame other teams. I'm not here to put the spotlight on other teams. We're here now in spring training, and everybody is talking about the Houston Astros and what we did in 2017. We gotta take that on the chin, Ken.
The lasting impact of the scandal on Correa's reputation is evident in how it has followed him even after leaving Houston. Despite his move to the Minnesota Twins and signing a 6-year, $200 million contract, the stigma persists.
Cheated that year and we got away with it and all that. No. Like, we gotta go to bed every single night thinking about what we did and how wrong it was.
Manny Machado. The transformation of Manny Machado from baseball's most hated player to a grudgingly respected veteran represents one of the most dramatic reputation rehabilitations in recent memory. Yet, for several years, particularly from 2018 to 2022, Machado wore the crown of baseball's most despised figure with an almost defiant pride, earning that distinction through a combination of perceived laziness, dirty plays, and an attitude that seemed to fly in the face of everything the sport traditionally valued.
What a resilient team that we got here, man. Everyone keeps fighting, everyone keeps doing what they got to do to keep winning.
In 2014, while with the Orioles, Machado threw his bat down the third baseline toward an Oakland Athletics player, reacting to what he believed were intentional pitches aimed at him. The incident was widely condemned as unprofessional and dangerous, establishing an early pattern of questionable decision-making. The 2016 altercation with Kansas City Royals pitcher Yordano Ventura further cemented his reputation as a hothead. When Ventura hit him with a pitch, Machado threw a punch at the pitcher, escalating what could have been a routine baseball incident into a full-scale brawl. But it was the 2018 playoffs that truly transformed Machado from a controversial figure into baseball's public enemy #1. During the National League Championship Series against the Milwaukee Brewers, Machado was criticized for not hustling on a ground ball to first base.
I mean, I think we've been doing a tremendous job. I mean, Randy threw the ball really well today. Holding down the fort. Cole has been throwing it well. Everyone's holding on the fort.
The playoff incidents extended beyond just a lack of hustle. Machado was accused of dirty plays, including sliding hard into Brewers shortstop Orlando Arcia and stepping on the ankle of first baseman Jesus Aguilar. These actions were perceived as intentional attempts to injure opponents, reinforcing the image of someone who would cross any line to gain an advantage. The hatred was so intense that it affected his free agency, with teams reportedly concerned about fan backlash and clubhouse chemistry issues. But perhaps the most most fascinating aspect of Machado's story is how dramatically his reputation has shifted by 2025. Now batting .291 with 19 home runs and earning a starting spot in the 2025 All-Star Game, his 7th selection and 4th as a starter, Machado has transformed from villain to respected veteran. Aroldis Chapman. In the high-stakes world of Major League Baseball, few positions carry as much pressure and scrutiny as that of a closer. The man entrusted with securing victories in the 9th inning must possess not only exceptional talent, but also unshakable mental fortitude. Chapman's legacy is forever tainted by what happened on an October night in 2015 at his home in Davie, Florida. The incident involved Chapman's girlfriend, Christina Barnia, who accused him of choking her and pushing her against a wall during an argument sparked by a message she found on his phone. What happened next elevated the incident from a domestic dispute to something far more serious. Chapman fired 8 gunshots in his garage, with 1 bullet going through an open window into a nearby field. MLB conducted its own investigation under its newly implemented joint domestic violence, sexual assault, and child abuse policy, ultimately suspending Chapman for 30 games without pay in March 2016. In 2022, his behavior with the New York Yankees further damaged his standing when he skipped a mandatory workout after being asked to throw a simulated game to prove his readiness for the postseason roster. The most recent controversy came in March 2024, when Chapman posted a video on his Instagram stories that drew widespread criticism. The 30-second clip showed him lying on a couch, groping and kissing the breasts of an older clothed woman, later identified as his mother. Chapman was also sued by Danilo Curbelo Garcia, who claimed Chapman falsely testified against him to curry favor with the Cuban government, leading to Garcia's decade-long imprisonment, adding another layer to questions about his character. Bryce Harper. In the annals of baseball history, few players have generated as much simultaneous adoration and vitriol as Bryce Harper. Branded as baseball's chosen one by Sports Illustrated at just 16 years old, Harper entered Major League Baseball carrying expectations that no teenager should ever have to bear. Born on October 16, 1992, in Las Vegas, Nevada, Harper was recognized as a generational talent by age 16, gracing the cover of Sports Illustrated as baseball's chosen one. The pressure of such early recognition would have crushed many young athletes, but Harper seemed to thrive on it. His debut at age 19 in 2012, followed by an NL Rookie of the Year award, seemed to validate all the early hype. By 2015, Harper had achieved the pinnacle of individual success with a unanimous MVP award, becoming the youngest position player to win the award since 1931. His statistics that season were otherworldly: a .330 batting average, 42 home runs, and a 1.109 OPS that left even seasoned baseball observers searching for superlatives. The first major incident that shaped Harper's controversial reputation came in 2017, when he was involved in a brawl with San Francisco Giants pitcher Hunter Strickland. The confrontation was rooted in the 2014 playoffs, where Harper had hit 2 home runs off Strickland and was perceived to have shown him up by watching the balls leave the park before trotting around the bases. What made this incident particularly damaging to Harper's reputation wasn't just the fight itself, but the way it highlighted the cultural divide he represented in baseball. Harper's willingness to celebrate his home runs and challenge baseball's conservative norms had already alienated traditionalists, and the Strickland incident became a symbol of this broader conflict between old-school baseball values and a new generation's desire for self-expression. Another defining moment came in 2015, when Harper and Nationals closer Jonathan Papelbon engaged in a physical altercation in the dugout during a game against the Philadelphia Phillies.
Nothing like playoff baseball in October in Philadelphia, and Garrett Stubbs said it best, man. If you don't like it or you don't like us, get out. We don't want you here. We don't need you here. We don't want you here.
Harper's frequent ejections for arguing with umpires have also contributed to his controversial image. In May 2024, he was ejected in the first inning against the Colorado Rockies for standing in the batter's box and engaging with umpire Brian Walsh after a strikeout, later calling the umpire unprofessional. In 2018, he stirred controversy by criticizing baseball's restrictive norms in an ESPN The Magazine profile, stating, "Baseball's tired. It's a tired sport because you can't express yourself." This comment alienated fans and players who adhere to the sport's conservative traditions, positioning Harper as a rebel against baseball's established culture.
That was the pressure. I have to be the #1 pick. I have to be the #1 pick. I have to go in there. If I'm not, I'm a failure. I'm the failure. You know?
By 2018, Harper had developed a polarizing reputation, with some ranking him among MLB's best players and others considering him overrated. Barry Bonds. Barry Bonds stands as perhaps the most complex figure in baseball history, simultaneously one of the greatest players ever and one of the most despised. His career statistics paint a picture of absolute dominance: 762 career home runs, 73 in a single season, 7 MVP awards, and numerous other records. Yet these achievements are forever tainted by what many consider the sport's greatest scandal. The foundation of Bonds' hatred stems from his central role in baseball's steroid era, particularly the Bay Area laboratory cooperative Balco scandal. Balco, founded by Victor Conte, distributed undetectable performance-enhancing drugs like the Clear and the Cream to elite athletes. Bonds' trainer, Greg Anderson, was a key Balco associate, linking Bonds directly to the operation. The transformation was impossible to ignore. Bonds began using PEDs around 1998-2000 out of jealousy toward Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa's home run chase. His body underwent a dramatic metamorphosis, from approximately 185 pounds in the early 1990s to 230 pounds by 2001, with increased head size, muscle mass, and acne appearing, classic signs of steroid use that fans and media couldn't overlook.
I could slam dunk, but I was just a basic slam dunker. I could go up with one hand, I could go up with two hands, and that's about it, and barely get up there.
Me too.
But so with the scenario with it is that I got in to go against Dion.
When federal raids on Balco in 2003 uncovered documents with Bonds' name, including doping calendars and blood tests showing elevated testosterone, the scandal exploded into national headlines. Bonds testified before a grand jury, claiming he unknowingly used the substances, believing them to be flaxseed oil and arthritis balm. But Bonds' problems extended far beyond alleged drug use. His personality amplified the hatred exponentially. He was notoriously difficult with reporters, earning nicknames like Most Despised Pirate during his time in Pittsburgh. In 1996, he physically shoved a USA Today journalist, and his infamous quote, "I'm Barry Bonds and you're not," perfectly encapsulated the arrogance that rubbed fans the wrong way. Former Giants trainer Stan Conti testified about Bonds receiving special treatment, including a private locker room, while teammates often described the clubhouse dynamic as isolating. The 2011 trial, featuring testimony from ex-mistress Kimberly Bell about abusive voicemails and steroid side effects, painted an even uglier picture of the man behind the records. Perhaps most telling, eligible from 2013 to 2022, he peaked at 66% of votes before falling off the ballot, with the ERA committee rejecting him in 2022. As one fan perfectly summarized the sentiment, Bonds cheated to get the HR records, so should be left out like Pete Rose. John Rocker. John Rocker represents pure, unadulterated hatred born from bigotry. A relief pitcher for the Atlanta Braves from 1998-2003, Rocker's baseball career was brief but statistically solid: 88 saves, 3.42 ERA, and dominant postseason performances. However, his athletic achievements pale in comparison to the infamy he earned through one of the most racist, homophobic interviews in sports history.
This guy is hated. It's always nice to hear boos in this studio.
The December 1999 Sports Illustrated profile titled "At Full Blast" unleashed a torrent of offensive comments that shocked the nation. When asked about potentially playing for the New York Mets, Rocker's response was breathtakingly vile. "I would retire first. It's the most hectic, nerve-wracking city. Imagine having to take the number 7 train to the ballpark, looking like you're riding through Beirut, next to some kid with purple hair, next to some queer with AIDS, right next to some dude who just got out of jail for the 4th time, right next to some 20-year-old mom with 4 kids. It's depressing." But he wasn't finished. His comments about New York City were equally reprehensible. "The biggest thing I don't like about New York is the foreigners. I'm not a very big fan of foreigners. You can walk an entire block in Times Square and not hear anybody speaking English. Asians and Koreans and Vietnamese and Indians and Russians and Spanish people and everything up there. How the hell did they get in this country?"
Hates all things New York. He called Mets fans Neanderthals, he called them subhuman, and he said that they were evil. And that was just like the tip of the iceberg with this guy.
The backlash was swift and severe. MLB Commissioner Bud Selig suspended Rocker for the remainder of spring training and the first 28 regular season games, reduced to 14 on appeal, fined him $20,000, and mandated sensitivity training. When he returned to play at Shea Stadium in 2000, he was pelted with objects and required heightened security. What makes Rocker's case particularly disturbing is his continued unrepentance. In 2002, while with the Texas Rangers, he used slurs toward of patrons in a Dallas gay neighborhood. During his 2014 appearance on Survivor, he threatened a female contestant, "If you were a man, I'd knock your teeth out." Even today, Rocker remains active on social media, it's John Rocker, with 297,000 followers, posting anti-immigrant and xenophobic content. As recently as July 2025, he posted "Fuck New York" and called for mass deportations, proving that decades haven't softened his views. As one article noted, John Rocker has no soul and lacks empathy for others. All he cares about is pissing everyone off to start drama. His hatred isn't complex or nuanced, it's the pure product of bigotry that has no place in baseball or society. Roger Clemens. Roger Clemens, nicknamed The Rocket, presents one of baseball's most tragic falls from grace. With 354 wins, 4,672 strikeouts, 7 Cy Young Awards, and 2 World Series titles, his statistical resume ranks among the greatest pitchers in history. Yet this Hall of Fame-worthy career has been overshadowed by steroid allegations, aggressive on-field behavior, and personal scandals that transformed a legend into one of baseball's most reviled figures. The 2007 Mitchell Report implicated Clemens based on testimony from former trainer Brian McNamee, who claimed to have injected him with anabolic steroids in 1998, 2000, and 2001. Clemens's vehement denials led to a federal perjury investigation and indictment on 6 felony counts. Though acquitted in 2012 after a mistrial, the allegations stuck, especially given his suspicious late-career resurgence with Cy Young wins at ages 34, 39, and 41. Clemens's on-field aggression created numerous enemies throughout his career. He led the league in hit batsmen in 1995 and was known for his intimidating brushback style. The most notorious incident involved Mike Piazza, whom Clemens beamed in the head during an interleague game, concussing him. Later, during the 2000 World Series, Clemens threw a shattered bat shard toward Piazza, claiming it was accidental, but drawing fines and universal condemnation. Former manager Cito Gaston called him a complete asshole, while his perceived arrogance alienated fans across multiple cities. Boston fans felt particularly betrayed when he left acrimoniously in 1996 for Toronto after GM Dan Duquette said he was in his twilight. His 1999 trade to the Yankees made him a traitor to Red Sox Nation, especially when he won Cy Youngs and dominated against his former team. Personal scandals further tarnished his reputation. Reports of extramarital affairs emerged, including with country singer Mindy McCready. They allegedly met in 1991 when she was 15, with McCready claiming a decade-long relationship. Clemens was ineligible for the Hall of Fame via the BBWAA ballot after 10 years, peaking at 65.2% in 2022, with voters citing character concerns related to steroid allegations. As one ESPN article described him as the Antichrist for Boston fans, his legacy remains that of a supremely talented pitcher whose character issues overshadowed his remarkable achievements.
You're either a Hall of Famer or you're not. You're not going to win any games, you're not hitting any more home runs. But like I said, I'm to the point right now where, I mean, I say it, but I probably don't mean it, but I wouldn't even, if it happened, the joy of it's gone.
The tragedy of Roger Clemens is that his legitimate greatness became forever intertwined with questions about integrity, making him a cautionary tale about how scandal can destroy even the most accomplished careers. Trevor Bauer. Trevor Bauer represents baseball's most contemporary controversy, a talented pitcher whose combination of arrogance, social media trolling, and serious legal allegations has made him perhaps the most hated active player of his generation. Winner of the 2020 National League Cy Young Award with a 1.73 ERA, Bauer's on-field success has been completely overshadowed by his off-field behavior. Even before his most serious controversies, Bauer was called MLB's most hated man due to his ego and provocative behavior. His self-described personality is blunt and uncompromising, stating, "I'm good at 2 things in this world, throwing baseballs and pissing people off."
It gets out in social media, the media writes about it, and to be fair, like, they were very serious allegations. Like, what was alleged was very, should be investigated and should be taken very seriously.
His reputation as a poor teammate began in Arizona, where catcher Miguel Montero said Bauer rubbed people the wrong way and never wanted to listen, leading to his quick trade. In Cleveland, some described the clubhouse as 24+ Trevor, implying he was a complete outlier. Bauer's Twitter presence became a major source of backlash. He's known for climate skepticism, birther conspiracy theories about Barack Obama, transphobic and misogynistic comments, and bigoted jokes. A notorious 2019 incident involved harassing a female Houston Astros fan with over 80 tweets tweets after she called him her least favorite person in sports, exposing her to abuse from his followers. The hatred intensified exponentially in 2021 when a woman accused Bauer of sexual assault during consensual rough sex encounters, alleging he punched her and caused injuries. While no criminal charges were filed by the Los Angeles County DA in 2022, MLB suspended him for 324 games, reduced to 194 by an arbitrator, for violating the domestic violence policy. 3 more women came forward with similar allegations, though Bauer denies all claims and settled lawsuits without admitting wrongdoing.
I've done a lot of reflecting and looking at mistakes that I made and in a lot of that. There's a lot of components to this whole situation.
The Dodgers released him in 2023, and he's been unsigned in MLB since, with former Mets GM Zach Scott citing character concerns. As of August 2025, Bauer is pitching in Japan for the Yokohama DNA Baystars, where he struggled with the 5th worst ERA in the league. From cheaters and hotheads to those who challenged baseball's culture head-on, these players show that talent doesn't always equal admiration. In fact, sometimes greatness and hatred walk hand in hand. Well, that's it for this video, but don't go anywhere because we've got plenty more heat for you. Just tap any of the cards on your screen right now and keep it locked.